Hi, I'm David Gibson from Thackeray Williams Solicitors, and I thought I'd do a video giving a little bit of guidance about where to look in your lease for the rules on noise and nuisance. The reason being that there are various options available to you when you are, facing a situation where we're all self-isolating and there is nuisance being caused in your common areas, or perhaps you have just noisy neighbours who you're struggling to deal with. Some people are less fortunate than others. Mine have been fantastic, but that's not always the case, and sometimes there are means, things that they could be doing to help more. So in your own individual case, I still encourage you to explore the avenues available to you for noise complaints. Often a good person to talk to is a litigation solicitor. They can explain to you and assist you with the different options that are available, and as they're changing in the current times, it's useful to have somebody on hand who can give you a steer as to how much a council may be able to do, particularly given that there are restrictions in place at the moment on council workers and court workers who may or may not be functioning at full capacity, the courts and council services that are normally available. So where to find your initial rules, though, as with many things, is in a copy of your lease. You may have one to hand. You may be able to find one by going through your emails or documentation from when you bought your property. This is for a leasehold flat, of course. Often a good place to look is if you've been emailed your report on title by your solicitor when you were buying. Sometimes the documentation supporting that's come through by email as well, and you won't be able to find a copy of your lease there, just in your older emails. If not, then potentially the land registry is a good place to look. Most leases should be registered on there for long leases of flats, and you can often order a copy document from them if you get in contact with them, perhaps for a small fee. I think it's about £3. So once you've got a copy of your lease, though, where you need to be looking is the tenants' covenants section or the regulations. In the vast majority of leases, they're all slightly different, but the majority of them will have that or a rules section effectively. It's normally called tenants' covenants or regulations. That's a good place to look. So what you're looking for initially is a covenant to essentially set out what hours are acceptable to make noise outside your flat for noise, and also the rules or regulations governing whether there is a restriction on not being a nuisance to your neighbours or not spending time in common areas, and seeing the rules there. That's where to essentially look. The other thing to look for is a landlord's covenant. If you can find the landlord's covenant section, and see whether there's a covenant in there that says that all leases need to be granted in substantially the same form in your block. If you can find that, then that's a good grounds to indicate that the rules in your lease should, they may not be, but they should be the same for all the different flats in there. So once you've identified that, you at least know where the land lies and what the rules are, to know that initial question. Am I asking too much, and am I expecting too much in terms of quiet? What does my lease actually say? And if I ask my freeholder to take some action about this, do they need to? That's a good thing to identify right off the bat if you're kind of having these problems, just to know what the rules are. So I hope that's useful. And again, depending on your individual circumstances, the litigation solicitor is often a good person to go to, and feel free to check out Thackeray Williams' website and contact us about that if you want more specific advice. Thank you.